Today's the day. Welcome to Cedar Point.
On today's episode of Survivor, the enthusiast will endure a little thing called the running of the bulls, where everyone will stampede to top thrill 2. Will we survive? Stay tuned to find out.
I will say one advantage that we have over everyone else is we are staying on site at Cedar Point at a place called Lighthouse Point. Lighthouse Point is like an entire campground filled with a bunch of cabins you can fill with your friends, your family, and you just walk over to Magnum Gate, which right now is only accessible if you're staying at Lighthouse Point, the actual campground, or Hotel Breakers. So if you aren't staying on site, you have to go in through the main entrance, which is significantly further from Top Thrill 2. So less of a run for us.
Makes our experience but easier.
Now, what is interesting about this is we can't technically run straight to Top Thrill 2.
No.
We have to run to the lockers.
We do. We have to put away all of our belongings,
Yeah.
our phones, our cameras, so we cannot take you along for the ride.
Yeah, this is going to be
sorry.
a little different. Top Thrill 2 has an extremely strict loose article policy. You can't have anything in your pockets. There are metal detectors at the front entrance, and there are only about 600 lockers out front, and the ride does about 800 people an hour. So, obviously, that tells you there are not enough lockers. So,
It's going to be a vicious bloodbath at the locker kiosk.
our thought is we're going to think ahead. We are going to put our stuff in Magnum lockers because we have to pass it on the way there anyway. So everyone's going to run straight to Top Thrill 2 lockers. We're going to go to Magnum lockers.
Hopefully less of a bloodbath.
Yeah, so we'll show you a little bit of the running of the bulls, and then besides that, we'll just have to tell you guys what we think of it afterwards. Austin, you excited for today?
Yes.
Hey, you already got to ride. What do you think?
I'm ready. It's great.
You ready to go?
I like it better. I like the amount of time that you spend at a higher speed. Because before, you hit like the top speed at the end of the launch, but now I don't know, you started at like 100, so.
Ooh, all right, I'm excited. So right now the park is set to open its doors for early entry in half an hour, and the line does stretch over onto the other side of the street here. But it's honestly not that bad.
See, you have the enthusiast in their natural habitat, Cedar.
You need to stop using that accent.
Seriously, I can. Oh, I just did.
Check this out. From the line, you can see over in Cedar Point Shores, they are taking down one of the water slides. They have a bunch of pieces of water slide out here in the parking lot. Maybe the new for 2025 edition is a water park replacement. I don't know. We have been in line for less than 5 minutes, and it's already growing. Yeah, this is when everyone's starting to filter in. All things considered, this really isn't that bad. Think about like what the causeway is probably like in the line to get into the front entrance.
Oh, I
area.
don't want to
Like,
think about that.
Everyone who's not staying on site is probably insane.
No, thank you.
With 10 minutes left till early entry starts, the line has officially gotten so long that we cannot see the end of it. Really? Speaking of early entry, Top Thrill 2 is not actually open for early entry, so we are...
Did we not mention that
Yeah,
yet?
we are currently in a line queuing up to wait in another line, where we'll then, once we're in the park, be waiting another hour for that ride to open. And here we are, about to enter Magnum Gate, and as people are getting through, they are running over to Top Thrill 2.
Let the stampede begin.
That was not much of a running of the bulls because everyone's just at the lockers. Actually, more people are up there.
Bye-bye.
All right, and this is where we leave you guys.
Oh my god, my credit card number.
See you after the ride. All right, we're back. It's been about an hour, 40 minutes since we put you guys away, and we got our one ride on Top Thrill 2 in the front row.
How do I look?
Your hair looks completely destroyed.
I think this is kind of a good look. Like
Well-
I look like kind of like a.
Coaster hair, don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it.
All right, so that was great. That was really fun. Yeah.
That was so awesome. Like, you know, there's obviously going to be some level of speculation when you take something that's such a classic, when it's like a ride that is based around one singular moment, and that moment is just amazing. And then they're like, okay, we're going to change that moment, and we're going to add to it with a company that's never done something like this. So there's going to be like a level of skepticism from pretty much everyone, right? And my God, did they prove everyone wrong.
Zamperla, hats off to you.
I don't have a hat,
You
but if I
made-
had one, I would take it off for you.
This right here is a statement piece. I think Zamperla's future just got way brighter.
I agree.
That is pretty incredible what they did.
I am Ford. We actually had like a slight drizzle, which we still have right now.
Yeah, it's raining.
yeah.
Well, we had a rain ride in the front row, so I rode like this most of the time.
Yeah.
It hurt
you have
like
to.
crap.
Yeah, like the needles in the face was a bit much, but that's nothing to do with the ride. But wow, this is really bad.
Yeah.
I got very windblown. I was screaming the whole time.
So much speed. That's all the ride is about. It's just pure speed.
Yeah, and everyone's like going off about the airtime going over the top hat, but since you're in the front, it's like a little different.
Well, yeah, because you get it into the ascent instead of
Yes.
the descent. So,
Yes.
like, I definitely want to try this out in the back. I'll say the spiral whips you a lot harder. Like, I sat on the left, and because you're raised up higher, so your like ride center line is just slightly off from the original trains, and so like you just whip through it. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. I
The
can't believe how much I screamed.
The spike is huge. It was like, wow.
I have to give them credit right now because I'm looking in front of me. Magnum is closed for rain, and this is open.
Yeah,
Like, that's
well, in
crazy.
Cedar Point, usually like rides are very temperamental in the rain, but this thing is operating. So, and right now it is currently listed at a 2-hour line, maybe a little bit more, which honestly isn't that
their
bad for
dispatches
opening
are
rides.
quick.
Yeah, they are very, very fast
It
operations.
feels quicker than it was because there's no seatbelt. The loose article thing is already dealt with.
Yeah,
That is-
it's still loud. You can hear this thing go from anywhere in the park. You know when it's running. I will also give them credit, whenever you add new track to existing track, you worry about that transition. Like, that was the big problem with, like, Dodonapa, right? Is when they removed the top and added a loop, everyone was like, man, you could feel the transition from the old track to the new track. Here, completely flawless.
I know,
You'd
it
have
was
no
great.
idea. That looks like it has been there forever.
I know, and it doesn't have any kind of shake to it. It's wonderfully smooth. Like I'm very, very happy that things turned out the way they did.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, excellent
ride.
work.
All right, so now that we've ridden, let's take a tour around the Top Thrill 2 Plaza. So we have this brand new entrance sign when you're entering the area of CP Raceways from this side, which, previously we only had the Top Thrill sign, which was like right over there. So they did move it back a little bit. It looks very, very nice. And you can see we're crossing into the finish line. So we do have a ride photo booth here on the left. There are actually 2 ride photo booths in this plaza, which is a little interesting, something I didn't expect. But this is, of course, the famous archway that everyone has been talking about. It looks fantastic there with the train going right through that arch. You can see that the CP is designed to look like goggles, like that drivers would wear as they're racing down the track. And then because it is opening weekend, we do have lots of extended queue setup, which is not being used right now, but it certainly was this morning. At the moment, the wait is posted at 3 hours, which I don't know how much I believe, because I've been told from people who attended Paso Preview Day that the actual queue of Top Thrill 2 typically holds about an hour line, but that is also not including fast lane. So even with that, I guess maybe like an hour and a half. You can see that the line literally just goes up to the metal detectors. So my assumption is that they are overestimating the wait times. And right next to the metal detectors, we do have a safety guide. If you think that you might not be able to ride, definitely consult this. And you can also see the test seat right here. So we have it straight from the blue train. You can see it's just a lap bar. There is no seatbelt. It is very, very comfortable. These are the first iteration of the Zamperla Lightning trains in operation, and they're awesome. Here's a full rundown of what is and isn't allowed on the ride. Long story short, pretty much nothing is allowed on the ride. That includes waist packs, cell phones, wallets, keys. Your pockets must be empty. A lot of people point out that does kind of make this an upcharge attraction, but it seems like this is a temporary policy, and they are seeking a more permanent solution. But for now, this is what we got to deal with. I will also add loose-fitting shoes without a strap or back cannot be worn upon the ride. Which is a bummer. Sarah, you wear Birkenstocks all the time.
Yeah, and I wear them because they are like the most comfortable on my feet. They like mold to your shape of your feet. I'm sorry, this is like an ad for Birkenstock now. But they're also very tight to your feet, which is good, but that's not enough for here. So I am wearing my dirty white sneakers. Don't look at them, they're bad.
It is definitely an odd policy because your feet do touch the floor on these trains. And Cedar Point is, of course, next to a beach, which is literally right over there, which, you know, who'd go to Cedar Point wearing, like, open-toed shoes? Was because there were people staying on site at the beach.
Well, and because open-toed shoes have gotten very comfortable over the years. But I think, I understand. I feel like they're being very proactive because obviously what happened with Dragster was something coming off the ride. Granted, it had nothing to do with loose articles, but I'm sure that, like, everyone who was involved with all of that was like, hey, maybe it's in the best interest of everybody that we make sure that there is nothing
There's
other
no
than the
room,
person themselves on the ride. Like, no anything.
No room for error.
Because then, like, God forbid, if someone had a phone that flew out and hit somebody in the head, then that's a whole nother can of worms that you've now opened. And you don't, I know they don't want that. So I get it, but there's got to be a better way to do it.
Well, and that also brings up a great point about the queue. So obviously we cannot show you guys the queue because we can't get past the metal detectors, but you can see there is now a roof in place over there. So that covers the area where the vehicle will be passing by from your heads. It also obstructs the view of the tower. So the views of the ride from inside the queue are not that good anyways.
Just like Top Thrill Dragster, we got the bleachers back. So they've got a pretty solid fence around it here. But you guys still got really good views like that. There they go. But yeah, so we've got like a pretty good amount of seating space, and everyone seems to be really enjoying it today, seeing this thing back in action.
You can also just tell that they gave this whole plaza a refurb because this is freshly paved. It looks really nice. I mean, it's not anything like over the top or elaborate. Actually, I would say it's a very loosely done theme in comparison to some of the other themed areas that we've seen at other Cedar Fair parks. But I do quite like the TT2 CP Racing sign that they have here right in front of the start of the launch track. And they did give the original photo booth a complete refurb. I love the addition of the blue to match everything over at the entrance, and that is where you'll get your on-ride photos. And as with every new ride comes brand new merchandise.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, we've already peeked in here a little bit. And the merch is actually really cool.
I'm just here for this.
That is awesome.
This is a wonky nano coaster. Check that out.
Wow. That
Really
is very,
cool.
very cool.
I'm getting this like kind of sports winter coat jacket-y thing.
Hang on,
This looks really, really good. I love the logo.
is this what you were in here looking at earlier and then said, you know what, I don't need this stuff, and now we just caught you back here getting it?
Listen, things change.
One of my personal favorites is the seagull
Holding the flag.
holding the racing flag. I think that's adorable. I kind of like that they've steered into like having their greatest enemy become their mascot. I think it's really awesome.
I love that.
So
look at this. We got some banners and flags for
these
your
are
route
my
wall.
favorite. These are my
Yeah, this is
actual
what
favorite.
we were talking about with Gavin. So they have these for the other rides in the park, but it's all related to racing. So it's like Valraven oil, Blue Streak transmission oil, Millennium fuel, Magnum fuel. It's just different types of oil and fuel.
I know, but it's like kind of really cool, and like I'm personally a fan of theme park merchandise that's like maybe not outwardly theme park merchandise. Like you, at first glance, you would see this and just be like, oh, that's a cool wall piece. Like most people wouldn't know like Valraven's like.
It's
an eye
a if
piece.
you know, you know.
Yeah, it's totally an if you know, you know situation.
They do have all sorts of stuff here. Some is more subtle than others. Lots of pullovers. We've seen a lot of people wearing these. So CP Racing, and these are all the different layouts within the park. And they do have it in water bottle form as well as poster form. And this is officially the best pin I've ever seen. It has a movable vehicle that goes up over the top hat and then back up the spike.
It just goes back and forth forever.
Amazing.
Just like I'd like to.
Look, coaster cutouts meets color. And look, there's track now.
Oh, very nice.
Looks really, really good.
You gonna buy that too, Gavin?
Listen.
It's actually like way bigger than I was expecting. Look, even they got the huge wheels right and everything. It looks good.
I think this is personally my favorite. Baby, I'm ready to go again. And here we are next to Power Tower at the end of the Top Thrill 2 racing zone. So you can see, once again, we have a finish line. And that pretty much concludes this area. All right, everyone's favorite coaster reviewer, Adam, what did you think of Top Thrill 2?
It was good. It was fast. It was raining, so I kind of like went like that the whole time. I don't really remember it. I do remember like coming down on the spike, it like twisted, and I was like, ah! And then I was like, ah! And,
Honestly,
it was good.
what you just said is way more than I expected. I thought you were just gonna say it was good, and that was
the
it.
break run, I was like, well, it's all right. Like,
Everyone's a critic.
It was better than the original. It actually lived up to the hype, and it blew away my expectations, and I'm pretty sure everyone else's expectations.
I feel like
Really
it's pretty
good.
accurate.
Everything is more intense about it. The launch is more intense. Going up the backward spike, you get really good positive Gs. You get whipped over the top hat, get great air time, and my restraint was pretty far down. So, and I still felt like ejector going over it. And then like the twist down feels way more intense than how it did before somehow. Like your body is like moving more with like the spiraling down. It's really good.
I don't know if I like the old one more because of the launch, but the ride's really good.
Yeah, it's like a...
You gotta come ride it.
It's a total ride now instead of a one-trick pony.
It feels like a decent ride, but also the first launch feels kind of pointless.
All right, check it out. They updated the park map. And wait for it. There it is. Top Thrill 2. Looks awesome.
That is crazy seeing a big spike on there. It's even crazier seeing it in person, but that is still... This park map has changed so much over the years. It's wild.
Just rode it. What do you think?
I don't like it as much as Dragster.
Yeah?
Based off my first ride.
Okay, so what were your overall thoughts then?
It was good. I need to ride it again and take it in more.
Where'd you ride?
Front.
You did front row?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you like about it?
The speed and the spike.
Okay.
What did you dislike about it?
The no crazy launch.
So you missed the launch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. All right, Jacob, you're like the biggest Top Thrill Dragster fan ever. So what did you think of Top Thrill 2?
I like it a lot. It does a lot of good things that the old one did, but it also does a lot of new things that the old one did not do.
So is it a worthy successor?
I think so, yeah. Definitely worthy successor. Like, I definitely miss the hydraulic launch, but you still kind of get that feeling on the third launch. It's still great.
Also,
Plus
I love your shirt.
Thank
It's
you.
so good. So something kind of cool, over here to the side of the Top Thrill entrance, they have this kiosk. So it does two things. One, it'll tell you the wait time. So you can see that it is 60 minutes for the standby or 15 for the Fast Lane Plus, which is great that they tell you both lines. But you can also buy a single-use Fast Lane if you just want to skip one ride as opposed to paying for an all-day. Here it's about $30, but if that's worth it to you, then you have that option. So when you come here at Top Thrill 2 to get yourself a locker, there are 4 different kiosks, which definitely helps because, as you can see, there is quite a line for this. One downside is, even though there are plenty of lockers, they vary in sizes. So like, these are the larger lockers, and then over here are much skinnier lockers. So these ones are wider, but unfortunately you cannot choose which size locker you get. It's completely random. So if you have a bigger backpack, I really hope that you're able to get this size locker because it'll fit a lot more comfortably.
So there we go, our first night ride on Top Thrill 2. There you can see it lit up. The lighting is fantastic.
That was nuts. We were in like row. Whoa, again.
We were in row 5. There was too long of a line for the back, so we're gonna try that tomorrow because we're gonna be here all weekend. So it's okay, but yeah, we still got 2 rides in on opening day, which I call that a win.
I call that a win. Yeah, it was so I guess the further back you go, the more you can notice that it has like a shuffle to it, but it doesn't hurt or anything. It's not like a rough shuffle.
So the way I describe it is you feel the shuffle lower, like on the like near the wheels and like the base where your feet are.
Reminds me of pipeline.
Yeah, but like up top where your heads are, you don't really get a shuffle. So it's really not bad. The last launch, especially when you're going 120, doesn't feel that different than Top Thrill Dragster. Like that launch had a shuffle to it because you're just going so fast.
Yeah, so like pros and cons. Say the pros are that it's way more reliable. It didn't go down that much today, and this is opening day.
So we saw at one point it was down for about an hour, and there were a couple moments where it was down for maybe like 5 to 10 minutes, but they got it back up really fast.
Another pro, I would say, I like the restraints a lot better on this one. I think they're a lot more open and free. It's very nice, and it makes the dispatches a lot quicker. I think that capacity is better, at least it seems that way.
Yeah, so essentially riders per hour, this does just a little bit less than Dragster. However, because the idea is that it's a lot more reliable, this actually ends up getting more guests through.
Yeah.
One other point I'll make about the restraints. Once they lock, they ain't moving. When you're further back on the train, you are obviously higher up on the spike.
It's
that
like
was really
being
cool.
a drone. Like when you ever get to look at that tower from up there straight on, it's crazy. So I like that the length of the ride feels more complete, like you're on there for a lot longer. The cons, I would say, is that you don't get that same wha-chow moment. Like you don't get that same punch as you used to, because it was like just one fast hydraulic launch instead of like a swing launch where you gradually get faster.
Right. I would say the launches are very sustained. There's not as much punch to them, but they're still a lot of fun. I saw someone said, "Oh, it's like a mock rides launch." We always kind of make fun of those launches for being very, very tame. It's better than that, but it doesn't have as much punch as like, let's say, Velocicoaster's launch. Something like that.
It's a little more gradual. Like I think like I'm sure if you're watching this, you've probably done some kind of swing launch, whether it was like a Skyrocket 2 or like Pantheon or something like that. You get more adjusted to the speed because you start off like, what is it? This one is like
74,
then 101, then 120. So you get warmed up to it, whereas in the past it was like 0, 120.
Yeah, I feel like the reason why people say it's like, doesn't have as much punch to it is because the launch track is just so long. Think about it, the launch track is longer now than it used to, because now you have to accommodate for the backwards section, and like the launch is still going into like the station area, just on the other side of the wall. Speaking of it, we can't show you the queue. The queue is definitely probably the saddest part of this ride. Not that Dragster had any theming, but like the queue here it's kind of claustrophobic. Like the walls are very tall. There's the roof over you, which again I understand why it's there, but there's nothing on the walls. It's very bare, and it feels like there were definitely some budget cuts. There's like, I would love to see something added to the future. They're blank at the moment, so that doesn't mean that it's impossible for that to change.
Yeah. Oh, and the loose article policy, that's definitely a con. But again, I get it. But it's like, if you want to ride this, you automatically are out $3, which, to some people it's not a big deal, but some people like, it's like not cheap to come here. And it's like, oh, that's $3 more we got to add on to an already expensive day.
The way I describe it is, and I've said this before, I wish that lockers were just worked into the price of admission. I will happily pay $10 extra, or even $20 extra to my season pass if it means that all the lockers are free and I don't have to worry about it during my visit. It's about that when you're at the park, you're not supposed to be thinking about the money you paid to get there, right? One last thing about my favorite part of the ride, at least as of 2 rides, I think, is the spiral drop. You whip so hard, way harder than you used to, and you have way more speed going through it. Like, the spiral drop before on Dragster was just kind of like whatever for me. It was fine, but I kind of wished it was just a normal straight drop. Here, nah, I think it's awesome.
I think my favorite part has ended up being the spike and like launching backward that fast. So we have like King to Ka, where obviously like you can shoot forward at 0 to 128 miles an hour, but it's very rare. Like the only other time you really get to do something like that spike is on Superman at Magic Mountain, and it's like not nearly the same.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. It feels different.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't really compare this spike to the one that's on Superman at Magic Mountain. This is just a bigger version of something you find on like Pantheon or Tutatis. But again, add an extra 100 or so feet. It's gigantic. So to wrap up our opening day Top Thrill 2 experience, initial placement in the roller coaster rankings of the park. Where do you
Steel
think you
Vengeance
have
is
it?
still my favorite in the park.
Same.
I would probably say this then Maverick.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. People change, opinions change. I think Maverick has lost a little bit of its zest for me, just for the sheer amount of similar rides we've done since then. I still love it, but like this is so unique, and I really like the uniqueness factor of this.
Okay.
So.
I think I still like Maverick more, but this is probably my number 3 in the park.
I'll probably change my mind like tomorrow, so check back.
Yeah. To be fair, I also had Dragster at my number 3 in the park previously, so that tells you it lives up to it. Really.
Oh, I thought of one more thing.
Yes.
Because we were doing pros and cons. Pros. You get airtime over the top hat now. I don't think we said that.
You did before, but nowhere near as much. It's way better now.
Yeah. It's crazy. Okay.
It's so good. All right.
Now we should go because the park is very much empty.
Yes, we're done. So we're gonna have another video from Cedar Point opening weekend. We're gonna show you our experience on some of the other rides. We'll get more rides on Top Thrill 2, so we'll be able to give you updated reactions, but we hope that you enjoyed this tour, our first reactions to the ride and everything. I can't wait to come back again. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.